I'm out of practice. Definitely out of practice.
I didn't see you enter. I didn't hear you knocking at my door. Somehow you found a way to tether. You dropped your anchor down into my soul. Oh, oh, oh. You showed up uninvited. I was caught off guard. I was unexpected. But now I see you, there's nowhere to hide. I'm gonna chase you down, not gonna lose this fight. And the years that you've stolen, I'm taking back. I'm spending all my time breaking chains, breaking lies that have weighed me down. Oh, I know I'm not out of the woods yet, but I'm pushing it a lot ahead, and it feels good.
Hi friends, how are you today? I'm back. So yeah, I'm just turning the camera on and getting started because it's been so long since I've podcasted. And I thought I would just get the show on the road here. So how is everyone today? I wanted to give a big thank you to a lot of people who have messaged me and, you know, asked me if I was coming back, and they know I'm a school teacher, and, you know, really encouraged me to get in front of the camera again, because after a few months you're like, well, maybe I won't do it anymore. In any case, welcome to my channel. This is Soulful Spinning. This is my crafting channel where I share my love of all things fiber, mainly spinning, knitting, a little bit of weaving. I noticed there's just a plethora of videos and podcasts now that are on spinning, so I'm so happy to see that it's extremely popular. There's lots of, you know, knit-alongs, make-alongs, and spin-alongs, and it's really, really good to see. So how is everybody today? Today, I think, is the 10th of June. It's a Friday, and it's a hot summer day in the Chicagoland area. I've got some fleece outside soaking, and I thought I would come in and pop in and say hello. So for the episode today, I want to talk, first of all, I wanted to announce the winners to the Slipper Cal. If you watched my previous episodes, you might have noticed that we had a Slipper Cal in January, February, and since I hadn't podcasted, I didn't follow through on that. But I hadn't forgotten, and I drew some names. So the winner of the Spindle and Fibre so it was this gradient pack by Hilltop Cloud and a spindle. This is going to Jen. I pulled one prize from Ravelry and one from Instagram. And so Jen, her Ravelry name is Balsam207. I did send you a message, Jen, and I'd be happy to send this out to you if you send me your mailing address. And then the other prize is going to Cheryl Wilner. She's Cher5413 on Instagram. And Cheryl, you're going to be getting this skein of luxury sock yarn from Dream in Color. It's superwash merino and lurex fibers. It's really pretty. And I've been keeping it nice and clean in a bag for you. So So Cheryl and Jen made some adorable 2 pairs of slippers, and she said it was the first cal that she had actually ever completed, which I spoke to my heart because I'm rubbish at cals. So if it's okay with you, Jen, I'm going to post a picture of your finished slippers right here. And then Cher, you made a beautiful pair of slippers that you showed on Instagram. I think it was your first FO of 2021. So I was really happy. So I'm looking forward to getting those out in the mail to you. So what has happened since I last spoke with you? I got a gift. So there's a lovely lady that follows me. Her name is Sharon. And Sharon, if you're watching, hello. And Sharon was really one of the first people that reached out to me and said hello. And she's just so friendly and so helpful. And she sent me a gift. She sent me this shawl, which I wanted to just show off. As soon as I saw it, I realized that it's a Boo Knits pattern. And she gifted this to me. I hope it doesn't mess up my microphone. She was so sweet. She says, I'm giving this to you because you're elegant. I'm like, oh, really? Thank you. So it's so beautiful, so delicate. It's beaded. It's just beautiful. So I'm not sure what Boo Knits pattern it is, but it's absolutely lovely. And thank you, Sharon. And Sharon is also a weaver and a longtime spinner. Sharon works with, she's the village weaver in Georgia at the Foxfire Institute. I probably have the name wrong. But she also sent me this woven towel. And Sharon, I've been waiting to use it because I wanted to show it off in its pristine condition. So Sharon's just a very prolific maker, made in America, 100% cotton pre-shrunk. So thank you very much, Sharon, for the gifts. They're treasured. Thank you so much. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about, I have a finished object. I don't have many finished objects, unfortunately. This past year, many of you know I'm a school teacher, and we were teaching remotely, and then we were doing a hybrid. And it was just a lot of computer work, and it was quite stressful. But a lot of people had a rough year, so my making kind of took a backseat to most other things. But I wanted to show you this Violetta shawl that I showed last time I recorded. I did finish this. This is a huge alpaca and merino shawl. It's just huge. And it's got these fun bobbles. Just love those bobbles. And this has been sitting on the back of my chair, keeping me toasty this winter. Yes, so that I did finish, managed to finish that. It was a fun knit. I'll link to the pattern below. It's a huge asymmetrical shawl with this beautiful I-cord edging. And it's nice, it's got a nice weight. It's almost like a weighted blanket. All the alpaca gives it quite a lot of nice drape. So that's one thing I finished. I just also finished a spin. At Christmas time, I was spinning this red fiber. And I just finished it a couple days ago. It was like in a time warp. Time stood still for this project. It just sat there on the wheel waiting. And so I did manage to finish this. It's a Targhee wool from Mountain Colors. I think it's a lot of different tonal shades of red. It's very bouncy. So it's 4 ounces of probably a DK weight. I spun this on my Lendrum and I applied it on my my Ashford e-spinner, which just makes such short work out applying. I love it. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. I think I'm going to put it together with a color work project with some neutral hand spun that I have, gray or brown maybe. So that's a finished spin. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about everything that I've been working on, just a few of the highlights. I'm sitting here at a different location. I'm sitting in front of my piano. This is a Baldwin Hamilton that I bought somewhere about 89 or 90. And this girl's been sitting in my front room for years and years and years, and only played occasionally at Christmas. And I just started playing again in February. And actually I credit the channel for that, because when I was looking for music for the channel, I was always attracted to the piano music. And then I looked up one of the composers and I found the sheet music, and I thought, well, maybe I could play that. So if I get brave, in a future episode, I'll play something for you. That has been taking up a lot of my time. I practice about an hour or two a day. And sometimes after practicing, my hands, they're tired and they don't feel like doing anything else. And so sometimes I just rest them. So yes. And something that's been really lighting my heart is a composer and a performer. You may know who he is. His name is Ludovico Einaudi. Look him up on YouTube. I will link his channel below. If you want to, listen to relaxing music and just be transported to a dream, just his music is absolutely amazing. So I've been playing, not that well, but I've been playing a lot of his pieces. So yeah, it's just something else. I found out that maybe some of you are musicians. I'd love to hear if you play piano or any other musical instrument. I wonder how many crafters and knitters and crocheters also are musicians, because there's a lot of similarities. The rhythm and the patterns and everything. All right, so what is my current works in progress? We'll talk about that next. So I have been plugging away at my hand-spun Jacob jumper. I'm American, but I like that word. I think I like it better than sweater. So I've kind of adopted that. I hope it doesn't sound pretentious. When we were little girls, jumpers were things you put over your head. I'm at the end of the first sleeve here, and I've got it on these short Chalgu shorties, which I purchased just recently, and I really love them for sleeves. The only thing is you're going round and round and round and round, and so sometimes you don't take a break. And sometimes my left hand can get a little cramped, but it's not too bad. But when you're doing magic loop, I'm doing magic loop here, you have to do that natural stop when you move the stitches, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it just rests you rest your hands for a moment. So I am keeping the one on the needles here, and I'm attempting to match up the other sleeve. So I kind of lost steam on this project. I'll show you the yarn that I'm using right now. It's Jacob wool from Dakota Carding and Wool, and some fleece that I had in my stash. So this was some processed Jacob from a fleece, and then other parts of the fleece were from Dakota Carding and Wool. And I spun it woolen on my Lendrum, and I two-plied it. And this sweater hardly weighs anything. It's just very, very light. However, my gauge is sort of all over the place. I noticed that some of the yarn, especially the darker yarn, is much thicker, and I think that's because the darker fleece can sometimes have a little higher micron count than the lighter fleece on Jacob's. And so as I was knitting, I was worried because I kept coming to like real thin spots, and I didn't mind the thick spots so much, but the thin spots were sort of I was worried. But I did sort of a partial steam at the top. And I think once I wash it, and I want to slightly full it, because it's a little bigger than it needs to be. And because the dark yarn is a little bit bigger gauge, thicker, it's kind of A-line shaped. So after I finish this, I'm going to not give it a real rough treatment, but I'm going to slightly full it. And I think that that will be really nice. So it's very, very gray. And it's, of course, it's 85 degrees outside. But I love the sleeves. I love the dark, the white going into the dark. So I will have this done next time we speak. And watching it while we watch TV. So my husband and I are always on a lookout for some series that we could watch that would be acceptable to both of us, because I'm one of those highly sensitive viewers. And he says, I'm trying to find something that keeps you in your chair. It doesn't, if you leave the room like something bad's going to happen, I get really nervous when I watch scary movies. So he found a show called Heartland. And I know you Canadians, you like Heartland, like have you been living under a rock, right? Because it's like on its 14th season. It's such a cute show. It's wholesome. It's they got great characters. Everything always turns out well. Plus the scenery and the horses are just magnificent. So it's called Heartland, and I think we're watching it on Amazon Prime. And there's 14 seasons, so we've got a lot of episodes to watch. So it's kind of fun to find something to watch that's pleasant and shows the good side of human nature. Yeah, because so many things on TV now are just, apocalyptic and, crime and all that. So I'm not really interested in that kind of thing. So the other thing I started a new project because of all this gray. I was just sort of getting down, knitting all this gray. So I started a new shawl pattern. Oh, look at this. The color is tomato. I don't know if the color is, whoops. I probably should have wore a different shirt. So it's not quite that orange. I'll insert some video here. It gives you a better idea what the color is. The pattern, this is yarn from Jody Long. I bought it from my local yarn shop. And it's 90% organic cotton and 10% cashmere. And it's really the nicest cotton blend I've ever worked with. It's very smooth. It's tightly plied. It's got a lot of bounce. It almost has that elastic feeling of wool. And so let me show you what the pattern looks like here. And here I thought I wasn't going to have anything to talk about. So I am doing a pattern out of this book here, Warm Days. It's a pattern book that goes with the yarn. I guess it's a brand new yarn. And Jamie over at Spinning Yarns in Griffith, Indiana had a whole display. And she had this shawl. Here's the shawl. And I'm doing it in the color here that's shown in the book. It's called Tomato, and it has this beautiful, let's see if you can see it here. It's got this beautiful lace edge, and you start from the bottom, and you work 40 rows of lace, and then it goes into just a garter stitch pattern with some stockinette ridges. And I cast this thing on not once, not twice, not 3 times. I cast it on 4 times. Oh my gosh. I almost gave up. I'm like, maybe this is beyond my skill level. So, but I persevered. The first time the cast on was too loose. I tried a knitted cast on, but I oriented the stitches wrong. And then the next time I got through the first 2 rows and I thought something was off because I was using stitch markers to separate the 16 stitch pattern repeat. Well, you can't really use stitch markers because the decreases, you do 2 double decreases on the edges, but you don't do the corresponding increases in that same section. You do it on the, in the end it balances out. So the hardest part, I'll show you my progress so far. The hardest part was just getting it started. And so once I got it started, that first, you can see this like a leaf pattern here. So this is acting now as the stitch markers. And it's a chart. I think I'm on row 13 or 14. And I almost ripped it out because I made a boo-boo. So this leaf here, this is a centered double decrease. So it's slip 2 together, knit 1, pass the 2 slip stitches over, which I did correctly for several rows. And then all of a sudden, I was on a row and I slipped them individually. Like I slipped 1 and then knitted and passed the slip stitches over. And I couldn't figure out how to make it right or fix it. And so in each of these, there's sort of a wonky, I know you're saying, what are you talking about? There was no way I was going to rip it out and start over again, because after 4 times casting on 231 stitches, I'm going to persevere, and I can live with it. It's not going to be in a judged competition or anything. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's a nice summer knit because it's cotton. And I'm really enjoying it. So I'm working on that. And then, being a knitter, anytime you hear somebody at work having a baby, you're like, oh, I should knit them a blanket. And as you know, knitting a blanket is quite a bit of knitting. So there's 3 of my colleagues, my young friends at work, that are having babies. 3. And they're all having them in October. So I started a blanket for one of the girls. I'll show you what the pattern looks like here. Yes, it's here. And it's also in cotton. And I'm actually loving this pattern. It's made out of blue sky cotton. And if you've ever knit with blue sky cotton, it's just so beautiful. The pattern is a free one from Project, whoopsie, that's what you get when you knit with cotton. But what's nice about this cotton is it's organic. And this is, it's called, what is it called? Don't I keep my patterns nice and neat? This is a Project Linus pattern, all-purpose knitted Afghan. It's a free pattern on Ravelry and on the website. I'll link it below. And here it is so far. And I love it. It's got a nice weight. It's soft. So this is for one of the babies. I've got 4 skeins. I'm on the 2nd skein right now. And for the joining, I'm using a Russian join where you sew the ends together. And I'm finding that's working out really well for joining the yarn. So this one is well underway, and it's been fun to knit this summer. And I really enjoy hand winding the ball. For some reason, it's very relaxing. Not if it was lace weight or fingering weight, but a nice worsted, hank of yarn to hand wind is kind of relaxing. So this has gotten me thinking about wanting one for myself. A cotton blanket would be just really nice for the summer. How about you? Have you ever knitted with the blue sky cotton? I'm a little worried about its durability. I have read that people do wash it in the washing machine and dry it low, and it's fine. But it does tend to pill, and but all baby blankets are going to get ratty over time anyway. And I just thought this would just be perfect for the brand new baby skin. So like a cloud. So I'll finish this one, but then I'm like, well, what if I can't knit all three a blanket? And I just give one person a blanket. Are the other two going to be hurt? Do I give the one blanket on the side and say, shh, don't tell anybody else? And really, do a lot of young people care about hand knitted blankets? I don't know. But this girl is a crocheter, so she doesn't know how to knit, and she has talked about learning how to knit, so I think she's knit worthy. So I'll go ahead and forge ahead and finish this one and give it with my love. Yeah, so that's basically what I've been up to. I'm doing some summer spindle spinning with these two spindles. This one, I forget what the woods are. Yellow heart, I think. And this one is Babinga and Zebra Wood. And this one's got an offset. It's laminate, but it's offset, which I thought was kind of cool. So these two spindles are from Elizabeth Daly, who I love. She's just a very sweet lady and who makes fantastic spindles. And I'm spinning this. It's a piece of Shetland. I bought like a Bach pack from Katie at Hilltop Cloud. And so I'm just spinning. I like spinning small quantities on drop spindles. How about you? Have you been spindle spinning? I think there's a spin along. I think it's called Spindle Spun Summer that Mars of the Hey Brownberry podcast and Rachel of Woolen Spinning is hosting. So you might want to check those ladies out if you're interested in doing a spin along. I think it starts on June 21st, the summer solstice, and ends on the equinox. So I'm not participating just because like I said, I'm just really rubbish at knit alongs, spin alongs, etc., etc. So it's just turning into my default DK 2-ply. So I'm working on that. And then what else? Yeah, just getting reacquainted with my wheels. I've been spinning on my big wheel. I've got a CVM fleece I've been working on. And then I've also been working on my Aura wheel, which is back here. And I'm spinning some thick and thick singles from a BFL silk top from Julie Spins on Etsy. So I think I'll insert a little video here of me spinning that yarn as a little spinning interlude, and then I'll come right back and wrap it up for today.
I didn't see you enter. I didn't hear you knocking at my door. Somehow you found a way to tether. You dropped your anchor down into my soul. Oh, oh, oh. I was caught off guard, I was unexpected. But now I see you, there's nowhere to hide. I'm gonna chase you down, not gonna lose this fight. And the years that you've stolen, I'm taking back. I'm spending all my time breaking chains, breaking lies that have weighed me down.
So yes, I love that wheel for bulky spinning. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use that wheel to spin my Icelandic Lopi style singles. It's just perfect for bulky spinning. So speaking of Icelandic, I'm working on a breed study with Icelandic wool. I shot some B-roll of some of my fleeces and some of my processing ideas that I will insert here as well. And I'll mention a couple of resources that I'm taking a deep dive into. And there'll be more to say about Icelandics. I want to do a proper analysis of the fiber after I get some spun up in different ways. I'm going to do some swatching and give you my thoughts about the Icelandic breed. So a lot of what I'm learning about Icelandic sheep, I know what you think what I'm going to say. You're going to say, oh, it's the Fleece and Fibre Sourcebook. Yes, I have used the Fleece and Fibre Sourcebook for this Icelandic, but I have a better resource for this particular fleece, and it's this one. It's called the Icelandic Fleece, A Fleece for All Reasons, and it's by Elizabeth or Beth Abbott. Beth has done articles for Spin-Off before. So she was working on a master's spinning program at a college, and this was her thesis. And so here she is. Here's Beth in the back. She's a retired high school teacher who now concentrates on spinning, weaving, and quilting arts, as well as sharing her skills whenever possible. So this is a book from 2000, I think 2001, something like that. Yeah, 2001. So I'm going to, in another episode, do a review of the book and talk about my processing and swatching and so on. But if you want to learn about Icelandic fleeces, this is excellent. She goes through the history of the breed all the way from when the Vikings brought them to Iceland to traditional ways of working with the wool to the more modern Lopi style yarns and sweaters. And she talks about separating tog and thell and just drum carding. And she uses, the only tools she uses are hand cards. So she talks about tog combs, but she doesn't really go through combing because at this point, I think she was thinking that most home processors aren't going to have combs. So she didn't really talk too much about combs, but she does talk about using hand carders to separate the fleece and so on. But I'll talk about this more in another episode. But it's been a really nice, a very nice resource, as well as the Bible of all things fleece and fiber here. You can also go to every breed has a page, and you can read all about the history of the sheep and see pictures and so on. So there's a lot of different resources that you can pursue if you're interested in different breeds of sheep. So yeah, my goal is to eventually make some sort of Icelandic jumper or cardigan. And I have a couple of books here. I'll show you one. And it's this one, Knitting with Icelandic Wool. This one is a great compilation of all kinds of patterns. And so there's some really beautiful. Here's a picture of a mitten that they found from the 16th century. How cool is that? But this one also goes through a lot of the history of the breed. And goes into the factory. Look at this man knitting his socks. I understand they'd often make them several sizes too big and felt them. So, but there's just some beautiful patterns in here, like this one here, Dalur. And I was thinking of making this with a little bit less contrast. It's very nice. The gauge is 13 stitches in 4 inches, which is pretty much what I'm getting. And there's here's the same pattern made into a cardigan with more neutral colors here, and this is what I would go for here. So, yeah. So if my husband and I ever move to a really cold climate, I'll be ready with my Icelandic pullover. So I hope, I see I'm going on about a half an hour here, so I just really wanted to dive in the deep end and just record something just to get back in the swing of things. So if the podcast has been a little bit disjointed or unorganized, hope you'll forgive me. I hope that you are all well wherever you are. I hope you're having some good weather and the drought conditions in a lot of parts of the world aren't impacting you too badly. There's always something to worry about, and I'm a worrier, so there'll be no shortage of things to be worried about. But I did want to close with a suggestion. I've been listening to the Caddy Jacks podcast and Amy Palco of The Meaningful Stitch. And Caddy Jacks, they're these two glamorous women. They're just these beautiful, beautiful women and they wear these earrings, and their clothes are amazing, and they're really, really good, lovely friends. They love each other, and you could see that in their interactions. They're really fun to watch, knitting things that I could only dream of. And then Amy of The Meaningful Stitch, she's in Scotland, and she is a very prolific knitter, and she's pretty monogamous, so she really is able to complete projects. And if you want to be inspired and look at some really fabulous knits, on one hand, you wouldn't think that those two podcasts would sort of go together. I mean, the whole vibe of both of the channels are a bit different. But Amy and Jackie share their love of poetry. And over Christmas, they did a poetry advent where every day they would share and post a poem that spoke to them. And so I watched some of those, and it was really, really lovely. And so I picked up this book. This is called Benedictus by John O'Donohue, and it's a book of blessings. So the American version is blessings with in the space between us or something. I can't remember. But I read the reviews, and I found that they said that get this one because it's a little bit nicer, I don't know, a nicer copy. So I wanted to close today and read just a portion of this introduction to the section on callings. And John says, "Someone asked me recently, 'What is it that haunts you?' I said, 'I can tell you exactly. It is the sense of time slipping through my fingers like fine sand. And there's nothing I can do to slow it.' One of the Psalms prays, 'O Lord, help me to see the shortness of life, that I may gain wisdom of heart.' As we get older, time seems to speed up. The sense of transience haunts nearly every heart. You feel that you could suddenly arrive at your last day, incredulous that was it. It was over. From time immemorial, it has been one of the deepest longings of the human heart to strain against the erosion of one's life, to learn a way of living and being that manages to find some stable ground within time, a place from where something eternal can be harvested from our disappearance. This is what all art strives for, the creation of living permanence. It is what we are secretly doing when we become parents, endeavoring to maintain our continuity beyond our own ending. The harvesting of transience is what we also are attempting in choosing the form of life we live. When we arrive on earth, we are provided with no map for our life journey. Only gradually, as our identity forms and we get an inkling of who we are, do possibilities begin to emerge that call us. It is one of the weightiest decisions to decide what to do with your life. The challenge is to find a way of life that will be in harmony with your gifts and needs." And then he goes on and does blessings, for a nurse, for the time of necessary decision, for work. Just really, really beautiful poems that they give me such a sense of calm when I read them. And that particular passage spoke to me as I get older, and what is really important. So I hope that you have found your calling, and you are enjoying the things that you're meant to do. So I think working with fiber and spinning and fleeces, music, for me those are huge, and it's so wonderful to have the gift of something that you love and that suits you. So if you're still with me here, I hope you have a wonderful week. I plan on being back next weekend with my Icelandic breed study. And until then, I hope you're well, and I'd love to hear from you. Keep those comments coming in the comment section of YouTube, or you could message me over at Instagram, or you use my email, soulfulspinning@gmail.com. I love to hear from you and interact with you. So take care, everyone, and have a great week. Bye for now. I'm going to read this blessing from John O'Donohue from his Benedictus book, A Book of Blessings. And this blessing is called A Morning Offering. I bless the night that nourished my heart to set the ghosts of longing free into the flow and figure of dream that went to harvest from the dark, bread for the hunger no one sees. All that is eternal in me welcomes the wonder of this day, the field of brightness it creates, offering time for each thing to arise and illuminate. I place on the altar of dawn the quiet loyalty of breath, the tent of thought where I shelter, and all beauty drawn to the eye. May my mind come alive today to the invisible geography that invites me to new frontiers, to break the dead shell of yesterdays, to risk being disturbed and changed. May I have the courage today to live the life that I would love, to postpone my dream no longer, but do at last what I came here for, and waste my heart on fear no more.